Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Right. Quickly post this on Facebook and Twitter. Check. 1 2 1 2. That would be the mic working. Okay. Hi. Hello there. Good to see you all. Both of you. Right. Okay. So today I'm just going to take on another AI task. It's what I spend most of my time doing on the game. And so the ants are going to... One of the big complaints about the demo is that the workers just blindly walk to pick up food, even when they're being completely and utterly obliterated by Devil's Coach Horse. So what we need to do is for them to try and go to their food job, but on the way to keep an eye out for enemies. And then when there is an enemy nearby, they need to instead decide to run back towards the colony. Worker ants. You know how worker ants speed up when you bother them in real life? I wonder if fleeing ants could get a temporary speed boost as they leg it. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Need to program in kind of a temporary boost system into the creature. I guess you could do it. I could add a function in, like a speed boost function, which when called, just kind of sets a timer going, and once the timer's out, it puts them back to the normal speed. It's not a bad call. But first is to actually get them to realise that there's danger. So back to the level I was working on yesterday. Levels. Just John test demo, is it? Yeah, I think it is. Today's going to be a little bit of a shorter stream than I have been doing. I've got a lot I need to be getting on with the sending out press emails and stuff and keeping the Kickstarter moving. So I will develop for a bit, which is what I enjoy doing. Then I'll do the whole marketing side of things, which is great fun. It's not. Anyway. Right, so what we need for this test is a Devil's Coach Horse blocking the way to some food. So dig that area. Make this a bit longer as well. Give me some space to work with. Oh, I've actually clicked on a cavern there. Okay. And what we'll have is a Devil's Coach Horse, which is here. Now these are edible, as we know. Delicious Devil's Coach Horse. That's what we spent yesterday doing. Yeah, I want him to have a decent amount of health today. Yesterday I made a crippled Devil's Coach Horse, so it was on 1 health to start with. But this time we'll have a healthy one. I want to clear the black ant out. I don't want any combat going on here. There are a couple of food tiles, which is fine. That's exactly what we need. And I'm going to need a few items of food. So, poppy seed. Right, these default with a food value of 0, I think. Yeah, I need to change that because a poppy seed with a food value of 0 is absolutely pointless. Okay, so there we are. We've got a couple of food items that are uncovered from the start, and the ants should immediately try and head to them. For this test as well, I'm going to, you know how your ants, you usually have 1 per tile, or you actually assign an ant to a tile. Yesterday I wasn't bothering assigning them, but I actually think today I'm going to be using the assignment because I think when they flee, what they will flee towards is their home tile, where they were born. So I need to make sure the ants that are on the map to start with actually have a home tile. But I actually think it's the little crystal representations here that are the important ones. So yeah, that's tenant. This is what it is. Although I'm not actually sure if the ant knows that it's got a tile or knows how to check its own tile. Either way, oops. So yeah, that's worker. Worker 2. And worker 3. There we go. So there we are. So what we should see now is the ants. Well, I wasn't expecting the Devil's Coach Horse larvae to do nothing. Oh, I know why. It's because he's on my team. He's a friendly Devil's Coach Horse larvae. There we are. Neutral team. Oh, look at that cute little Devil's Coach Horse larvae. The dinosaur symbol is actually fog. I know it's a really weird symbol for it, but that's what it actually is. These fog sheets here. It's not my choice of symbol. It's the fog that is in Unreal Engine. So Unreal decided to make these fog sheets a dinosaur symbol. You can see it there, like this smoke effect moving across. Strange choice, but meh. Okay, so now that we're enemies, okay, there's an issue here in that in that the workers are doing the brood jobs first, because the food job doesn't appear for a short moment until afterwards. So they'll do all the brood jobs, and then they'll finally get around to doing the food jobs. So what I'm gonna do, because it'll take the workers a second to do the brood job, so I'm just gonna tunnel this whole area out here. I'm going to shift this dude over here, and now we should have a reasonable test set up, I think. So basically, they've finished their brood jobs, now they're heading over there. Right, it's that point they should decide to run away, rather than just ignoring it. And they're doing a fairly good... Oh no, there we are, he's dead. They're all dead. Okay. So, what we want them to do is to have a chance to spot enemies as they're going. Okay. Okay, so we're going to look at the worker blueprint. No, the actual blueprint for the creature, sorry, not the AI. Right, all creatures have this kind of vision radius on them that they can see, and at the moment, I believe it's set to some really quite high value. If I can find it. It's in the default section. No. No, it's here somewhere. I know soldier ants definitely have it. Target radius. That's the one. Yeah, it's there. Okay, so I believe one of those tiles has a radius of 100, so I believe they have an overall width of about 200. So 150 is really quite small, I believe. So let's give them 500. One sec, let me just... Right, Hawk. Okay. So let me check these files out. First, I just need to sign in. Huh. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so that should be fine to save it this time. It's the worker that we wanted to save. Cool. Yeah, I think it's good that people get to see kind of how games development actually happens and what you need to do in it. To be honest, it's the getting it off the ground that's the tricky part. Once you've actually got a project in place like this, then you're down to changing things and adding things in. It's not so daunting. Okay, so what were we doing? Right, so we've checked our ant's sight radius. Now I want to actually take a look at the black ants, because what the black ants do is they consistently look for enemies. So I'm going to check out how they do that. So it might be in their behavior tree. Okay, so as opposed to the worker ants, which have got quite a complicated behavior tree, you can see here that the black ant's behavior tree is actually very simple. And it's because the black ants only really have one type of task to do at the moment. That's to attack things. They will get more complicated as time goes on, but for the moment they've just got a really quite basic behavior tree. So from the root they make a selection. It always goes from left to right. So they try this first. If something succeeds, they don't bother trying any of the rest. So the first thing it's taking a look at is, am I targeting enemy? So what I want to find out is how this ant is actually targeting the enemy. Because I could do with it. I could do with the workers doing the same, just basically constantly targeting the nearest enemy. And if they successfully manage to target one, then we know that there's an enemy nearby and we can react to it. So in here, what it does is it just gets the creature, looks at the creature. When it's a creature, it looks at whether it's in play. Okay, so let me just check. Okay, right. So what we've got here that'll help you see it a bit better is this here is the actual ant, and it's saying, right, I'm a creature, and it's pulling a variable out that's called current target. So that'll be on the creature level. So that'll be at the C++ creature code, something called current target. It looks at its current target, and it looks at the owner ID, and then it looks at the owner ID of itself, and it's saying if we're not on the same team, so that's not equal to. So if they're not the same value, return true. If your ID is not equal to the target's ID, it will return yes, else it will need to follow this logic. So that's cast failed and returns false. So once it's casted, it checks whether the target is in play, which means whether it's dead or not. If it's dead, you don't care. So if it is in play and the owner IDs don't match, return true, else return false, and set current target right. I think that's wrong actually, but see current target, set the current target variable. I would have thought that was, no, it's not broken. Don't try and fix it. Okay, one sec. Let's have a look at chat. Photo method of code incompletely new to it reminds me of software like Nuke. I saw a blueprint called Black Ant Queen. Oh yeah, Black Ant Queen. Yeah, there is a model for that. It's in creatures. It's not finished yet. But yeah, that's a Black Ant Queen. Get rid of that. Okay, so where was I? Actually, how are the firmware correct rank going to be able to count for the first ant species? It only has workers and queens. Yeah, the Formica will have a basic form of soldier as well, but it's going to be very basic. It's essentially going to be the worker, but it'll attack, and that's how you conquer the first one. It's kind of the first step in your journey. Okay, so this doesn't actually explain how it gets its target, though. This is just checking for a target. So I'm going to go into the C++ code. Any of these will just open the C++ and I'll deal with it from there. Okay. Should have minimized that really. So, creature. Right, so what we're looking for in this is something which finds a target. I suspect there'll be a variable somewhere called current target. Current nearest. Nearest enemy creature. Okay, so what does nearest enemy creature do? And what calls it? Okay, so nearest enemy creature, it does a for loop on nearby creatures. Current nearest. So this nearby actor, nearby creatures. It actually uses something called nearby creatures, which I'm assuming is... Well, it's not that. There's a function somewhere called nearby creatures, so I'm assuming that's in here as well. Yeah, okay, nearby creatures uses something called target radius, which is that stat we set earlier. So essentially it does a look at everything within a certain target radius and returns an array of all the creatures nearby. And then it will, and then we cycle through those to check whether they're on our team or not. Yeah, I don't think we're in the in the budget range of Morgan Freeman, to be honest, Hawk. So now we've got this selection of nearby creatures. I need to know what calls nearby creatures, to be honest. I mean, is there any other mention of it in this? Okay, it's called by nearest enemy creature. What calls nearest enemy creature? So I'm going to do a search in the files for nearest enemy creature. See what calls that. I'm assuming that's called in C++. It might not be. It might be called in the code, in the blueprints. Doesn't look like. Oh, okay. No, it doesn't look like it's called here, so it must be called in the blueprints. So let's go back to somewhere in here it gets called. Must be in the soldier's behavior tree somewhere. It doesn't get called in here. Nearest enemy creature. It's funny when you forget how you did things. I mean, it was me who set this up, but I can't remember. It was a while ago. So maybe it's just in the creature blueprint? It's possible. Nope. Maybe it's in the Wonder Code. I would have thought it would have been picked up if it was in the Wonder Code. But I do remember coding something in the Wonder Code about it. So let's take a look at that. So this is the Wonder action here. This is what the ant does when it's doing nothing. It's just walking around. I remember looking at the target. Character is not in play or has a primary job. Check to see. Check. Finally check the duration is not run out. Duration, layer info, controlled actor, pawn reverse. It's not callback target. It's nothing to do with callback target. The creature job component. Right, this is checking to see if it's got a job. That's what that's for, but that's actually not what I'm after. I want to see whether it's got a target. Can't remember what calls this. This is part of an issue with having code split over blueprints and C++ classes. Lose track. There's a Unreal Editor. Hang on. Does Unreal Editor write this code, or was it someone else in your team? The code here is written by a combination of me and other people in the team. This section of the code, the nearby creatures and the wander actions, they are code that they're both written by me. Although it links in with things that Unreal already does. So, for example, the wander action is a latent function, which basically means it will occur until it's told to stop occurring. So within the wander action, it will just keep going and going until it decides, until it hits a wall is one condition that stops it, or it runs out of time that it's meant to be walking. And I put those together. But the idea of a latent function is an Unreal Engine thing. Yeah, it's David Attenborough's 90th birthday today. Don't you know? So we need to wish him a happy birthday from our team. Definitely one of our biggest inspirations on the whole thing. Right, okay. My guess is it's something that happens in the... I would have thought it would have been something that happened here, or at least there'd have been a clue to it. Here somewhere. Am I targeting an enemy? See, it must already have its target by that point. I would assume it would the target check would happen repeatedly. Okay, so what that is when it's moving to the enemy to attack, it actually aborts itself every second, and what that allows it to do is basically decide whether there's a better enemy to attack or a closer enemy to attack every second. Here. Let's see. This looks promising. Target nearby enemy. Okay, get creature. Nearest enemy creature. There it is. Okay. The only other thing I'm confused about now, because that's clearly the call that I was looking for, which is the thing that returns the nearest enemy. And it sets that to current target. Okay. Where was that? That was in... So, target nearby enemy. This search is useless. No wonder I couldn't find anything. Anyway. Okay, so target nearby enemy is there. Is the way to... Nope. Okay, so is that run anywhere else? Target the enemy exit. Move to creature target. So the one thing that's confusing me at the moment is that the only place I can see that function being get called, which is target nearby enemy, the only place in the whole project I can currently see it being called is there, which is when it's already... Which is when it's in its own base and its exit's not open, then it just runs target nearby enemy. But that would actually do it. Of course it would. That one place is enough to... Yeah, okay. I can calm down now. I can get back to what I was actually doing. Right, so this function, target nearby enemy. So I don't actually want to target anything when I'm a worker. What I want to do is I want to get... I want to run this function, nearest enemy creature. And if it doesn't... if it returns something... as an initial step, if it returns something, the ant needs to flee. So this is when the creature is heading for a... this is when the creature is... It's mostly going to be when the creature is heading for a food item. Although, it's probably just going to be when the creature's heading for anything. So if there's an enemy nearby, it should try and flee instead of trying to do what it was going to be doing. If that makes sense. Right, I'm just going to grab a quick coffee, because I haven't had one this session already, and I feel like I've achieved something by just finding that nearby enemy thing. So yeah, I'll just go grab a coffee. Oh dear. Oh dear. Where is the Devil's Coach horse? Guys, rampaging. Well, it's finished its work now. Okay. Right, so let's have a quick look at the chat. You're obsessed, Hawk, with that. With dinosaurs. Okay. Yes, it is David Attenborough's birthday today. Very happy birthday to David Attenborough. I'll make sure we get a post out about him. Find a nice video of him with ants. Right. Okay. So I now need to have a look at the workers' behaviour tree. Okay, I'm going to try adding something in that I haven't tried before, which might be dangerous. And it's gonna, what it'll be, is in this condition here, is adding a timer in. So basically, if it's doing something for more than a second, it will start its behavior tree again and try again. What issues this might cause is if there's situations that I haven't considered that an ant would abandon. So basically, if there's something in this sequence that an ant has to finish before it looks again, it might cause a problem. It shouldn't do, but it might. It depends how well I've coded it. So what I want to do is add a decorator, add a service to this actually. Oh no, it's a decorator. It is a decorator. Time limit. So every 1 second, a worker will basically stop whatever it's doing and think about it again. It won't actually stop. It shouldn't actually stop. It shouldn't look like it stops. It should keep walking because it'll be instant. Basically its brain will decide, will think again and decide whether what it's doing is still what it should be doing. So it shouldn't look like it's made any difference. It is though. You can see you can see them stopping. It actually looks fairly ant-like, to be fair. Yeah, kind of pause for a moment and then moving on. But no, that doesn't work. Okay, so I need to think of another way of doing this. Basically, I need a way of getting in there that the ants, at any point, should be checking for nearby enemies. Doing it this way, I mean, it technically works because basically every second it restarts what it's doing, and at that point it can then look and say, right, I've got this I need to do. I've spotted an enemy. I can run away from it. However, I think I know what to do here. Exploration into behavior trees. So yeah, the time limit wasn't right. Okay. Some of these I've created myself. Some of them, like time limit, are actually built into Unreal. See, what would be ideal is just checking whether a target is set. However, in order to do that, I believe the... So what I need is a way of aborting a behavior tree branch. It's not something I've tried to do before. And I need to set it to something more specific. Get blackboard value. Yeah, there is something called the blackboard value. Hang on. Just want to test something. So if I make a new decorator, see a service, maybe it's service that I'm after. Right. Okay. So what I should really have is a service that runs on the branch constantly whilst the ant is doing a job to pay attention to whether it or not it has a enemy target. What the service should do is run the enemy target. See, at the moment, this actually doesn't do anything. Whatever this service is, this is check if target valid. That looks like something I was trying to make, but never did. So let's duplicate that and call this check for nearby enemies. And what I want this service to do is actually abort the branch of the behavior tree, if it can. So we'll give this a go anyway. I'll come back to chat in a bit, guys. At the moment, I'm having to concentrate in order to get through this because it's not something I've tried before. So let's get rid of check targets valid. What I want to add here is check for nearby enemies. Okay, so inside this, currently it does nothing, so let's just check how often it runs. Alright. Hello's fine. So my guess is what will happen here is we'll just get a screen full of hellos. It's amazing how quickly you open everything, isn't it? Yeah, okay, so you see it's running with relative frequency, that. So I can be sure that that function is actually consistently running. I'm guessing it's got a timer on it. Yeah, here we are. Interval and random deviation. Okay, so a service has it has an element of randomness in it if you want it to. I'll leave it with a bit of randomness. There's no reason why we should stop it. Although that's on the wrong thing. I actually want this down here. Okay. So basically, when the ant is on an underground job, it's going to constantly do a check for nearby enemies, and if it finds one, it will interrupt what the ant's currently doing, is the plan. So next, we're looking for behavior tree tasks. Clear background value. So what we want is a behavior is this service to be able to abort the current action of the behavior tree. So I need to look this up. Abort branch of behavior tree. I don't want the let's see if the AI controller has the power to do it. Abort action. Abort given action instance. Force abort action. Aborts given action instance. You know, I really have no idea what this is going to do. I don't think action's what I want it to abort. No. behavior trees set value as object. No. Do taking a look at how, like, the timer does it, for example. It's not a service though. A timer is a it's a decorator. Yeah. And decorators only run at the when you enter the behavior tree. I need something to constantly run. Okay, so what if I had a service which set the target and a decorator which aborted it when a target is set. So, in order to do this, what I'm looking for here is first to add a decorator in which aborts it when a target's set. So, it's here somewhere. It's something like value set or something. These are all ones I've made. Does force success? Is it location? Huh. Hang on. I've come across this before. Blackboard base condition. Right, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. First of all, let's see. That's saying if it aborts self if the current job is set. Okay, so what I need is a decorator Blackboard based condition. Blackboard based condition. Okay. So I want a value in the blackboard which is it's an object. Nearby enemy. Okay, so the blackboard is where an ant stores data about itself. So this blackboard base condition is going to check nearby enemy is set. Okay, so if nearby enemy is set, it will abort itself. And what this needs to do is run the function that we had before on the creature. So we've got the control pawn here. And what we need to do is, I think you just cast that to a creature. Nearby enemy creatures. Alright, so here we're doing a check for that, and then we basically say if nearby enemy creature is equal to nothing, we don't do anything. If nearby enemy creature is equal to something, we will print the text. Print text. Nearby enemy. Okay, so what that should do is we should be detecting nearby enemies by now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete 2 of these workers. It's talking about the references because I linked them to the tiles there. Okay, so if we watch this, I've left the breakpoint in. Sorry about that. Yeah, there. Turn the breakpoint off. Okay. And here we have nothing. Nothing is happening. Okay, let me just check what I added on there. If nearby enemy is set, abort self. I'm assuming it's that's broke it. I'll come back to that in a moment. At the moment, we just want to check that it's detecting enemies. Okay. Okay, that's perfect. So that does detect enemies. Next, we need to figure out why that wasn't happy with us. So if I bring that back, if nearby enemy is set, abort self. So I could do with getting some more information out of this. On result change, on value change. Restart every time an observed Blackboard value changes. Restart on every change of observed Blackboard value. Okay. Or restart only when result of evaluated condition changes. See, that sounds what we want is that it only needs to do a check each time the value changes, right? So I'll change that to is not set and we'll see what result we get. So we can experiment here. Okay, so is not set is producing nothing happening essentially. Okay. So what we want is for the restart to happen when it's set. So first thing we do here is set. Let's get the Blackboard actually. Get its Blackboard. Get a value as object. Actually, it's set value as object. It's nearby enemy, isn't it? I think it is. And that needs to set it as this. Else, if that is true, we need to unset it. Self key name, same key name. Yeah, and set it as nothing. Okay, so that will set or unset that value for us. What I could do with is actually, I think that worked though. It looks to me like the ant is currently given up on everything. Yeah. It looks to me like they give up on everything when that value gets set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the queen tiles for a moment. So basically, the ants have no task when they start. So instead of going that way, they should... What I'm expecting to happen is this ant to go over to the food and then do absolutely nothing when it gets there. Yeah, when it sees a creature. There we are. Okay, so currently we have the ant paralyzed in fear when it heads over. Right, I'm gonna come back to chat because I haven't looked at it in ages. This is gonna take me a minute to cut through what's been said. Okay. Yes, I am advertising Alton Towers with my coffee mug. Not sponsored. It just happens to be the largest coffee mug I own, so it means at least amount of trips to the kitchen. Oh, Kickstarter made 12,200. Sleep is always good, Hawk. Right, carrying on. Okay, so with the ants paralyzed in fear, what I need to do is set a flee response. So what I need then, you know what, this should be checking for nearby enemies, whether it has a job or not. It should just be something which is done constantly. So each ant will make a check to see if there's nearby enemies all the time. And when it happens, they will add it into that variable called nearby enemy, the nearest enemy. So over on the far left here, basically what nearby enemies is going to do is it's going to override everything. I think it's going to override everything. It's probably what we want the ants to worry about first, right? No matter what else they're doing, they need to, if there's an enemy nearby, they need to flee. So, with that being the case, it's actually going to be the furthest left node. Whee! So, the workers they'll need a sequence here. It won't be a selector, it'll be a sequence. Flee from danger. Okay, so the first thing we add into this is a decorator, which is going to check whether there's a nearby enemy. And we need to add a time limit in as well. It should flee for a certain amount of time, really. I've run out of coffee. Yeah, so I don't really care about an abort self, but this is if a blackboard value is set. But I'm kind of tempted to just do is enemy nearby. make its own function. But probably doesn't need one. Result change. Yeah, I shouldn't make things that I don't need. So yeah, the nearby enemy decorator is, if nearby enemy is not set, it aborts itself. Right, this might just cause me problems. I mean, at the moment it's not actually doing anything. But this might cause me problems. Yeah, because basically that's always true there. Okay, so this is soldier. Don't want that worker. So what I need is I need it to target. So I need to create a new task. I'll duplicate one of the other tasks I have. A similar one is actually target egg. Target queen egg. So if I duplicate that and call it target. Maybe they should flee back towards the queen. Maybe that makes most sense. I think that makes most sense. So like if something goes wrong, they target the queen and run back to it. Okay, let's have a quick look at chat. We've considered different height levels, Hawk. It's not something we want to go with because, yeah, it does get quite complicated. And as much as it's great for someone who wants to spend long periods of time playing a single level, it's not the structure of the game. The game's kind of more fast paced than that, and it's much simpler just to give people a single area that they can dig out and they can understand well. Okay. So in the flee mechanic, this needs to be target queen. This needs a couple of things to be set. Okay, so target queen. This won't be exactly what I'm after. No, that's right so far. Egg collection. So this is a branch. If okay, so that will target your own queen. That should be fine. There's actually no point of that existing in here. Doesn't actually get used. So, yeah, targets the queen. Move 2. Current target. Give it an acceptable radius of 300. So it needs to get within 300, which is about a tile and a half of the queen. And this needs a decorator on it. This is just going to be a time limit. So it's going to flee for a certain amount of time. Let's say 3 seconds. One, two, three. Okay, so initially that worked. However, it didn't seem to continue to work. Yeah, it's running away. Ah, no, that is within 300 of the queen. So I think that works fine. That's done. I think that might just be done. Funny how these things suddenly come together. So essentially now, workers they'll try and head for the job, but if the job is, if the job has enemies in the way of it, or if they get too close to an enemy, they will head back towards the colony queen for 3 seconds. That's done. The ants aren't having guns. They wouldn't be able to hold them. John, maybe you could implement different height levels when the game is finished and possibly skirmish mode. I mean, we'll consider things like that later. We'll definitely revisit them in consideration. but like I say, we can't just take on everything. It's as you can see, you know, implementing a small thing here like ants being able to flee, it takes time, and as logical as it is, and it all makes sense, and you walk through the process slowly, it does take a chunk of time to implement everything. Right, so let's give this a more thorough test. So let's reset this up as a level. I think it's still got all the tile surface and things from before. Yeah. So basically I want to delete this. I'll set up the starting zone again properly. It's a queen. And then link this to the worker. It's the crystals on it. And let's give this a try. Give the game a bit more music volume. Music seems to be broken. Oh no, it is there. Is that really loud on yours now? Because I've just realised that I've actually got my desktop sound down to virtually nothing, so it doesn't come through the speakers. So I should probably turn these things down. Right, let's take a look. Okay, so with that done, we'll create some black ants. Gather more food. My intrepid workers. How do I not have enough food to build that tile? What's in these food things anyway? These ones are already on the tile, and that one's holding 3 food. That one's holding 1 food. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so that's probably enough to take on one of the Devil's Coach Horse larvae. So where are they? Where's the nearest one? They're quite far away in this map, aren't they? They all come at once. This will be a good test. So what should happen here? Right, yeah, I'm guessing the game's... Right, so yeah, the workers are retreating. And they're coming back and retreating and coming back and retreating. Coming back and retreating. Okay, that worked. That completely worked. Oh, and they should harvest the corpse of that eventually as well, shouldn't they? I guess this will be an interesting test as well to see if that still works. That'll be the last thing they pick up. Yes. 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 Okay. Right. So the corpse harvesting still works as well, which is really good. And the ants have, and the ants do flee now. However, it causes a very strange looking behaviour where basically they're just at their bounds between them and the enemy. I'll look into the sound in a bit. I think it's fine. I think the stream's just not picking it up correctly. Yeah, absolutely, because the workers all keep themselves at arm's length from enemies. However, what I would like to add in next is a random timer on the workers legging it. So some of them leg it for 1 second, others leg it for 7. What else? So that way they don't look like they're all bunched together at a certain patch. The other thing to do is make the workers doing the checks for nearby enemies less frequent. So some of them won't notice nearby enemies immediately, and they'll take a moment to react. Others will notice immediately. So that should stagger their retreating as well. Might be worth the workers abandoning their jobs as well. Because if a worker's heading for a food item and doesn't get to it, and can't get to it because he's blocked by a creature, if he's constantly trying to head for that same food item even when he's fleeing, there might be something more useful he can be doing elsewhere in the base. So maybe they should mark their job as finished, although if it's a dig job that they're heading to, that will cause an issue, because marking dig jobs are only created when you click. So if you mark a job as finished, and you're not going to click it again, food items are different. Food constantly check and they recreate their jobs if there's no job about them out there. But dig jobs are different. So maybe what it should do is check whether their task is a food job, and if it is, they... Right, I know what needs to happen, and it's a much bigger task. So it needs writing down, and it's not something I can do today. And that is to... and that is basically to add something into the job manager, which says I no longer want to do this job. So the job doesn't actually get marked as completed, but the ant just says I'm not doing it. So yeah, ants tell job manager they are not doing the job. And then the jobs can get redistributed to other ants, and that ant can receive a new job, which is more likely to be one that's deeper in the base. Okay, so let's add some randomness to it. So the really easy section of randomness to add to it is the one that's in here, because it's already set up for us. So that's every half a second. It checks with a random deviation of 0.1 seconds. So let's have them check every 1.5 seconds with a random deviation of 1 second. So basically they'll check anywhere between 0.5 and 2.5 seconds. Actually, that seems a bit high. So maybe every every 1 second with a random deviation of 0.5 seconds. I think that would be okay. And if we go over here and take a look at this. Okay, so this abort self here is that's the thing that makes the ant decide, right, it's time to go. It's time to head back to my job. And unfortunately, it's a timer, so they haven't built a random variable into it. So let's just check whether there is a I wonder what cooldown is. Lock for 0.5 seconds after execution return failed. So basically, if it fails, it stops it coming into this area of the behavior tree, which isn't what we want at all. Yeah, we could have really done with a some random variable on time limit. It's a shame it's not built in. I wonder if I can make a task based on time limit. Not a task, a decorator, sorry. Okay, I'm going to create a new decorator. Let me just save everything that we've done so far. I'm going to create a decorator. It's based off the default one. I'm going to have a nosy to see what conditions are in there. There's the default one. So this is going to be called random time, random timer. We need to search. I might need to search that later, but let's have a look. Okay, so the way decorators are normally done is you override the condition. So called when testing if underlying node can be executed. Must call finish condition check. Note that if both generic and AI event versions are implemented, only the more suitable one will be called, meaning the AI version is called for AI or generic for otherwise. Okay. So there is a receive tick. Receive tick for more details. Okay, receive tick. For function is more suitable to be called, meaning the AI version if called for generic one or otherwise. Okay. So I'm assuming it's something to do with this. Difficult though. Difficult to know. Event receive execution finish AI. Receive execution start AI. Normal decorators. If I find one of my other decorators, one of the ones that I've made. Am I carrying food? Okay, it just overrides this condition check, and it's got a return node on it. See, I'm interested to know if that receive tick on the decorator is triggered while you're in that tree. It might be. Okay. Okay, so there's something else that's appearing on screen that I didn't delete from earlier. So let's deal with that quickly. I believe it's in here. Yeah, it's that nearby enemy. I don't need that to come up anymore. Okay, so basically when it's fleeing, I'm hoping that tick received will come up once I add this decorator in. What did I call it? Random timer. Oh, it's got a little symbol there. I wonder what that even means. Either way, let's see what happens, shall we? Yeah, I've got a whole level set up, haven't I? Let's add the Devil's Coach horse back in. Put it to team -1. And let's see what we get. Nothing. No, I need to figure this out in my own time. How to add the random, how to add a timer-based function to that. I've got a feeling it's going to be quite a lot more involved. So that's not coming up at all. That receive tick function isn't that isn't triggering. I need to figure out basically how Unreal have implemented the timer function. If I can get into the internal workings of that, should be able to work on it. 666 backers. Terrifying. Okay. Right. I think I'm going to do that off stream. I said it was going to be a shorter stream today. I've been on for a couple of hours now. We've basically got the fleeing mechanic sorted. So I think I'm going to leave it there for now, and I'm going to research how I've actually got that running, how to get that running in my own time, because otherwise this is just going to be 15 minutes of me going through forums, which won't be particularly interesting. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm not sure about next weekend. I will let you know on the Facebook and Twitter groups. But yeah, thanks for joining us for that, guys. We achieved what we set out to do there. And I will... Yeah, we should have a new stretch goal coming soon. We have an idea of something now that's not too... we don't want to go too far with the stretch goals, because then they start to sound unrealistic. So we have an idea of what we want the next stretch goal to be, and we're looking to get it up later today. So yeah, I'm going to be... I'm going to figure this out, and at the start of the next stream I'll let you know how I managed to get that going. Presuming I am able to get that going. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to keep an eye on the Kickstarter and follow us on social media on Facebook and Twitter. And if you have any feedback about the game or the demo, put it on our Stomped page. Which I will leave the link for. And if you have any ideas as well, we appreciate people putting things there, as it keeps all the feedback in one place. And we are slowly going through and labeling the feedback. So yeah, thanks for joining, and I will see you hopefully next weekend, but no promises on that at the moment.